Hello, welcome to another episode of Breaking It Down with Steve and Laurie. I'm Steve, she's Laurie. I bet you could have guessed that. Um, we got well, first of all, let me say we got a question, and we love that. In our on our page, you will find an email address for us, and we would love to hear from anyone, either in the comments or via email with a question, and we'll bring it up and we'll talk about it. It can be fun, it can be serious, anything. If it's too off in left field, you just won't ever hear it. You won't ever hear us talk about it. But anyway, the question was, how do I know if my therapist is listening to me? And I think, that question might come from someone that doesn't go to therapy, because I think it's a typical trope in comedy of the therapist falling asleep, having a chair behind someone laying down and they're, surfing or they're sleeping or whatever. It probably does happen, but in any case, I think you can take that question to a deeper level also. But as a therapist, you're the expert here. What are your thoughts on that question?
I interpret that question as, is my therapist getting me? Do they get who I am? Because, most therapists are very empathetic people and they're good listeners. The number one complaint that I have heard from clients over the years is when they've gone to therapy and they haven't felt that it's been helpful, is that my therapist just listens to me. And so, when you go to therapy, you can ask the therapist what their style is, right? Not their theoretical, because at the end of the day, that's not going to matter as much to you as what's their style. And so I've always told people I'm very interactive. I will give you feedback. I will give you insights. We will map out growth, and I'm relational. So how I connect to a client teaches me a lot about the client. So obviously I'm picking up on a whole lot of cues that they don't even know oftentimes they're putting out. And Irvin Yalom, who's well into his late 80s now, but he's been my mentor from afar for my
he's an author, correct?
And he's been a therapist at Berkeley for many years. But he said it's the relationship that heals, and I really believe that. Like, how you connect to a client teaches you so much about how they do connection and how they see themselves. And so does your therapist pick up a deeper meaning to the things that you're telling them? And do they give you feedback about that? Because
make no mistake, I know, because we've talked about this. Some people want to be a puppet. They want, and that's why bring it up, but there's a saying there's a saying that I can't think of, but essentially it's that people are lazy, and it's the path of people want to be told what to do is essentially what it's saying. And when you think about it, that isn't easy. If it doesn't work, you can blame the person that told you to do it. You don't have to think about, oh, how should I do this? It's just, you can just do it. And so I think there are people that hope that they can go to a therapist and the therapist is going to say, yeah, divorce that person, or, oh, here's what you need to do. You need to do A, B, and C, and then you'll be great. And that is not how it works. And what you've explained to me is that even if you think you know what they should do, it's crossing a boundary to give them direct orders, for lack of a better word, because of that same dynamic. If it doesn't
Well,
work
that's
out, they
not
blame you.
that's not them doing their work, and
Right.
that's not therapy. Therapy has a fundamental respect that you get to live your life the way you want. It's your journey. You get to date that guy that all your friends don't think you should date. You get to get married and have a child with somebody and end up divorced and say I saw a lot of red flags.
But your job, you don't just listen to them talk about it.
Mhm.
You get to know them, and you empathize with their situation and teach them to be healthier and hold their hand along the journey of them figuring out what they need, a healthy
Right,
thing that they
because
need to do.
nothing in life is meaningful unless it's become a part of
Mm-hmm.
you, right?
Someone said to us recently, touching the stove.
Yeah.
A kid does not truly get.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a metaphor, but
Mm-hmm.
it's a common thing. You tell your
Mm-hmm.
kid, don't touch the stove, and they're all excited, they want to touch it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, especially since you told them not to, and once they touch it, then that lesson is brought home in a profound way that they will never forget.
Mm-hmm.
And so
And
it's the same as what you're saying. When they come to the realization,
mm-hmm.
with your help, with
Yeah,
your pushing and boosting and guidance,
guidance.
yeah, but you,
I'm the
you
guide. And
you
so,
can lead them right up to that
right,
pond and let them
they
drink.
can decide.
And yeah.
Like for example, over the years, I have learned that when somebody calls me and they say, because how somebody even calls you teaches you a lot. And if they say to me, I have this, and this wrong in my marriage, but God hates divorce, so I'm not going to get divorced. And the things they've listed are all toxic. Okay. Well, I've learned that I'm not going to take that client personally because I'm not a good fit. Because again, I go back to what's healthy in life. So I can't help you in a toxic marriage magically change that marriage into something it's never going to become, right? And I don't personally think it's healthy for people to stay in toxic relationships um, at the cost of their, I think our number one commitment in life on an individual level is to be your healthiest self, your best self. And when you're committed to that and your partner's committed to that, yeah, you're going to have issues, but it doesn't get toxic. And when somebody's been in a toxic marriage for 20 plus years or whatever, what they're telling me right off the bat is, I really want you to help me and change all this, but I'm not going to do anything about it.
Well, and
Okay?
and you've hinted at it, but a common thing that you come up against is people come to you wanting to change someone else.
Well, sure, and I understand that. That's human nature, right? But the beauty of my work is I I get to see the healthy people. I get to see the people in this world who want to change, who want to be different. And if they don't, if they want to just show up and say they've gone to therapy and it didn't help, well then they're going to self-select out, right? I mean, I'm going to start having my reputation is don't go to Lori unless you want to change because that's part of health and movement is growing and changing. And I know when people start to do that, they feel fulfilled. They feel happier. They feel a sense of hope in life. But all that to say, there's going to be lots of energy in the room. Your therapist is going to be fully engaged. They're going to give you thoughtful feedback, thoughtful insights um, that help guide you through the steps. So if they're not interactive enough for you, well then that's just not a good fit. And you don't have to slug it out. I mean, find somebody who's a good fit for you.
That's what was going through my mind. Um, yeah, well, don't slug it out. That's like staying in a marriage that
Right.
doesn't work,
Right.
But uh, if it isn't working, it doesn't have to be your fault or their fault,
No,
or
it's
they
just
may
not
be
a fit.
they may be listening, but if it's
Mm-hmm.
not working for you, find someone else for sure. And
Yeah.
that's not say run at the first sign of discomfort.
Right.
Because a good therapist is definitely going to make you feel uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to confront you, but that's movement, and that's getting work done. You know, no pain, no gain. But
Yeah,
if it isn't working for you, don't try to change them.
Yeah.
Don't try to control them or
You don't
wait
have
and
to
see.
just, yeah. And even when you care about them and that you think they're a really good person, I saw somebody in grad school. He had a PhD, and there's statistics on going to an MA versus a PhD. And I saw him for probably 4 sessions. And, I'm in grad school. I'm running my own business. I'm very independent. I mean, and at the end of our 4 sessions, he really didn't give me much feedback throughout. But then at the end of the 4 sessions, he says, well, I think you're doing great. And I think you got it fully together. And we hadn't looked at my family of origin. What was interesting, even as a student, I said to myself, he doesn't get it. He doesn't get that this independence is part of my personality, but it's also been survival. And I want to live less independently. But he accepted what was presented as is, right? A healthy, a really good fit therapist sees all the goodness of you. Like, what I love about my work is I get to give a lot of beautiful feedback, not just the hard feedback, but the beautiful things about the person that they don't hear or they haven't thought about. Or a lot of times growth is accepting all the good things, like of yourself. When I see a couple, I always say to them, tell me what works naturally between you two. And they all look at me like, what? What do you mean? We're here to talk about our problems.
We're fixing to be divorced.
Yeah. Yeah. And one, I can tell how far along they are. And two, if they can still talk to me about things like, well, we like each other, we have fun, or
he's a good dad, whatever.
Yes. Yeah. Then I go, cool. There's a connection there.
There's hope.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, yes, is your therapist listening to you?
Yeah.
Ask questions. Might be something to try, but don't settle. Don't settle. There's no reason to.
Yeah, don't slug it up.
Whether it's you or your insurance, or you and your insurance, you're making an investment in time, money, and energy to grow and change. And if that's not happening, find someone else.
And listen, I'm the first to admit it. Good therapy changes you. Good therapy works. You feel like you are growing and moving. And therapy is either really great or it's a waste of time.
Mm-hmm. And there are nuances. There are plateaus, but
you're still moving.
It'll get handled. Yeah, it'll get handled.
You're still moving.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, hope that was an adequate answer to that question, and I hope it encourages some of you out there to think of and send us some questions, because it's really fun.
Yeah, we like that.
So thanks for listening, and hope to see you again. No, let me change that. We will see you again.
Yeah.
So take care.